gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. He looked good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. It is Monday, March 24th, and a breaking news Monday as well. A lot to get to on today's show. I'm super excited. First and foremost, though, thank you for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, please do so ASAP, nearing 800 subscribers. So excited about that. If you're watching live on X, thank you for that as well. And of course, this will be up on all the podcasting platforms later on this afternoon, right after we get done with this show. So as we mentioned, breaking news coming into the show. It finally was made official this morning. Ben McCollum is the new basketball coach at the University of Iowa. Of course, the Drake head coach won 31 games in Des Moines this past season. He also led Drake to their first NCAA tournament victory since 1971. So we'll talk about that in about 2 minutes with Chad Leistikow and Tom Kakert, two of the best in the business, in just a matter of moments. Quickly, I want to let everyone know that obviously watching the show or watching throughout the weekend, the Fighting Illini lost yesterday. They fell to Kentucky, 84-75. Iowa State, a tough loss to kick off or to end their run for a Sweet 16. They lost to Ole Miss 91-78. The Iowa women and the Illinois women in play today. We'll talk with Kyle Huesmann coming up about the Iowa women in just a little bit. Also on today's show, Pat Angerer is back. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but Pat will join us later on in the show and much, much more. But I don't want to waste any more time, because when you have a star-studded panel like Tom Kakert and Chad Leistikow, both at the same place at the same time, I mean, this is about as big as it gets, boys. I don't know if I've ever had a bigger show than this. Thank you both for doing it.
Tom's the star. Tom's the star here.
Chad's the big deal here, folks.
Man,
he's down in Norman pulling double duty.
Had some good sushi with Kyle and Dennis last night.
That's
good
what
sushi
they
here in Norman.
The Chuck Long recommendations come through, right?
We had to go to the Chuck Long backup plan because Chuck's recommendation was closed on Sunday.
Ooh.
But we got a good. But Dennis knows his food, and so we rallied. Shannon from KCCI is an Oklahoma alum, and she kind of gave us the thumbs up on this place we found. But anyway, you guys don't want to hear about sushi.
No,
you
that's
want to hear
what
about Ben McCollum.
Chad, that's what people tune in for. They're like, Ben McCollum be damned. I want to know about sushi. No, obviously, guys, this has been talked about for a while. Chad, I'll talk with you and start with you because, something seems obvious, sometimes it doesn't always become obvious quickly. Talk about the process in this, because it seemed like he was the guy for a while, but it took a little bit to get there. What do you know about that?
Well, I'll let Tom. Tom's done a great job on this all the way through. I'll kind of let him walk through some of the stuff that he put out last night, which was really good. But I would just say this, that from our end, from Des Moines Register end, we're pretty plugged in with Drake and Ben McCollum, to be honest. And it was far from a done deal. Deep into yesterday, he really was focused on the Drake men's basketball team throughout the season. Now, did Beth Getz reach out to his agent? Of course she did. All that stuff, but he was not at all really engaged with any of that stuff, really until yesterday. And so people are impatient, but really, Fran McCaffrey was fired 10 days ago. Like, this was a pretty quick process overall. And I feel like Iowa, if you had a co-number one choice here, which I think was probably the consensus between Darren DeVries and Ben McCollum, I think you feel thrilled if you're an Iowa fan today. And I would say, Tom, that I think most folks have kind of come around to the opinion of we wanted McCollum all along anyway. I think they're pretty excited about it.
I think there's a part of Beth Getz that wanted Ben McCollum more than Darren DeVries. I really do. I think she probably, I'll tell you what, and I've watched several videos of McCollum and just about his philosophies and things like that. Some people have brought some things to my attention, and I've watched them. And one of the lead to my story about them hiring him was basically, you know, back in back in the late '90s when Hayden Fry retired and everybody wanted Bob Stoops, and they get this guy, this kind of quote unquote underwhelming, low key guy named Kirk Ferentz to come in. Maybe I'm not saying that's going to happen, but what I'm saying is I'm watching these videos and I hear a lot of Kirk Ferentz in Ben McCollum. Mm-hmm. Just the kind of, hey, we're not going to get the best recruit. We're not going to get the brand name guy. But if you come in and you let us coach you and you work hard, guess what? We're going to do really well together. And I think that's the message I get from Ben McCollum. And I'm really interested to talk to him more about that. But there's a lot of KF qualities to him. And in my book, that's a really good thing because I think we'd all agree KF's been pretty good at Iowa.
Yeah, it's funny because you say in your book, in my book too, some fans might be yelling at you saying, oh no, but trust me, Kirk Ferentz of basketball would be a good thing. Tom, take me through the process because you did do a good job of, one, putting up with me because I was texting him every 2 hours, what's the latest update, blah, blah, blah. What was Saturday night into all day Sunday because people want instant gratification. They want to know what's going on and get it. And it waited till this morning. I had impatient friends myself. How'd this play out?
Well, the stuff last night was when it really came together, and Ben came over apparently to Carver Hawkeye Arena and met with Beth, and one of our posters saw Beth leaving Pagliai's Pizza with a pie, so maybe they sealed the deal with Pagliai's, which would be
perfect,
awesome, which would be incredible if that detail comes out that was true, that Beth got a pizza from Pagliai's and they sealed with Pagliai's. Boy, that's something, because that's a good pie. I'm a Wig and Pen guy at heart, but Pagliai's is right there too. But yeah, it like Chad said, it was bumpy and into yesterday, where I know I spoke to someone who talked with his agent and on Sunday afternoon, and they were like, yeah, I mean, he wants to go there and everything, but we got to get this deal done. It's not done. It's not completed yet. And so they met, I think last night at Carver Hawkeye for the first time, kind of in person, and sealed it at that point. And, happy for Ben, happy for Beth to get one of the two guys. She had to come out of this with either Darren DeVries or Ben McCollum, or people are going to start wondering what was going on. So she came out of this with a win, and I think Iowa came out of this with a win.
Chad, what is Iowa getting with Ben McCollum? I think people have learned a lot about him, especially over the last couple of weeks with what Drake's been doing. But it's fun when you watch somebody educate themselves about his background and the 4 national championships at the D2 level and the coaching and the player development, all that kind of stuff. What are they getting when they get a Ben McCollum? And is this the guy, I don't want to say can energize the fan base, because you've seen he's not maybe the most energetic guy in the world, but can get people interested about Iowa basketball again? Talk about the hire and what Iowa's getting.
Well, yeah, it's if anyone's read my column, it's been up for a few hours now, about Tom hit it on the head. It's the Kirk Ferentz parallel, because he's 43. Yeah. Ferentz was 43 when he was hired. McCollum's 43. Yeah. Wow. A lot of same qualities. He builds his teams around ball control and defense. Builds it around doing more with less. Trying to play the game to give yourselves a chance at the end, and that's what we saw against when Drake played Missouri. I think that was kind of like the. The kind of like the almost like the KF crystallizing moment. It's like, you're going to play Ferentz ball and try to beat Ohio State at the end. And that's kind of what McCollum did against Missouri. Now, it didn't work against Texas Tech because Texas Tech controlled the pace, but he controlled the pace. And I'm not saying that you're just signing up for some slow plodding style, because that's not the history of him at Northwest Missouri State. I think that's one of the early misconceptions I had looking into him, that he's not necessarily just a Tony Bennett, slow it down to just a grind, lick lighter-esque. You don't want to do that again, obviously. So I'm encouraged by the fact that he adapts to his personnel, and that's what Ferentz does, really. I mean, that what Ferentz can get into the program, he adapts to that and gives himself the best chance to win. That's the quality I see with him. The other thing I would say, Tom and Matt, is that from what we've learned, read, is yes, defense. He's a very good defensive coach, but he's also a good point guard coach, which it's almost like getting a defensive coordinator and a quarterbacks coach in the same guy. Yep. And so if Iowa, that's been a problem of the McCaffrey era. No offense to any of the point guards that have played, but if you're going to go to the Sweet 16, you've got to have a good point guard. What did he have at Drake, Tom? Good point guard, Ben Sturtz. Yeah. So if you can have a good quarterback and a good defense in football, I like your chances. If you can have a good point guard and a good defense in basketball, I like your chances. So that's kind of where my most encouraging aspects are of the McCollum hire.
Tommy, build off that. Go ahead.
Even before Ben Sturtz, there's other guys that he had that you listen to people who played against him at D2. He had guards that were even better than Sturtz. And I do think Sturtz is coming with him to Iowa. I think there'll be a couple guys that end up coming with him to Iowa. And we'll see how I think that's going to be the next challenge. And the one benefit for Ben McCollum is he had to build a roster last year at Drake because that place was empty when he got there. So, he brought along 4 or 5 kids that he had from Northwest Missouri State, and they all worked out well. A couple of them are grad students, so they're not going to be coming with him to Iowa, but he's going to have, I think, Sturtz, maybe a couple other guys that come with him, and that would be huge because you've got some guys that know what he's doing. But Chad, I'm glad you mentioned the point guard thing because that is so important moving forward to have, and having that quarterback to kind of bring that offense along in Sturtz would be huge. And then he's just got to get the pieces. And I don't know if, Iowa's got like 2 guys on the roster basically still now.
Sadu has not entered the portal yet. Yeah.
Sadu has not. And Tajdo have not entered. So we'll see if they're retained or not. But, I want to throw this out to you guys because we've compared him to KF, but in a basketball sense, is he Bo Ryan?
I mean, people should sign up for that. I mean, if he is.
Bo Ryan was like the wizard at D3 and just kind of came up through the ranks and has a system that just worked and, had good pieces. Didn't always have the best talent, but really good players and just won and won and won and won and won. Maybe, I'm not saying he's going to be Bo Ryan, but maybe that's the apt comparison we make from a basketball perspective.
Yeah, I like that. I'd like that just because you think about some of those really good Wisconsin teams, that run of top 4s in the Big Ten under Bo Ryan, whatever it was, like 11 years or something. That was crazy. He did it with a couple good players, right? Like for the most part, it wasn't like he had a ton of stars. Maybe he had 1 or 2. And I think that's kind of it. I think in where Iowa is in NIL and where Iowa is just in the place in the Big Ten, you're going to have to kind of build around a couple of stars. You're going to have to pay, in my opinion, you're going to have to pay a couple stars and try to build around that. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Tom, but I feel like, if Iowa is playing with a little bit of a shorter deck in terms of money, that's where I would do with it. I would get those 2 or 3 blue chippers and try to build around them. But it'll be interesting to see how Ben McCollum does it. Here's a question I have for you. Could Sturts or Dix? I mean, if you had the choice, if you could only pick one, who would you pick?
Tommy,
that's
you.
tough. I'm partial to Josh Dix, but that's just me. I just think Josh is
Could they keep both? Could they keep both, Tom? I think it's a long shot, but what do you think?
I think it's a long shot. I think Josh is going to get 7-figure offers, and I'm just not sure Iowa can get in that company. But boy, they're gonna, he'd be fun in that. I tell you, I did kind of picture Josh Dix in that offense. Watching Drake play the last week, last 2 games, I was like, boy, JD would be pretty fun in this. Watching him kind of get going and the way he can do things, and because he's I think a better outside shooter than Sturts. I think Sturts might be a better passer, just kind of better natural feel for it. But Sturts turns it over a good amount too. So, and he's kind of flashier. It's going to be interesting. Chad, of the guys that are in the portal, who do you think is the most likely to, or that they have the best chance to bring back?
I mean, I would start with Price Sanford for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed reports on that. I've heard someone said that he would definitely play for McCollum, from what I was told. But obviously, it's going to come down to money. But another person said he's gone, so I don't know. But I would start with Price Sanford because I think that's the type of
significant offer. He's got a pretty significant offer elsewhere. He's got a significant offer elsewhere.
Yeah. So again, that's going to be up to Ben McCollum. What does he want to do? And I feel like just overall, I feel like Iowa fans are excited, but also I think that they're understand that this is going to be a process. Like this isn't a quick fix thing. I feel like with DeVries, you might have felt like, oh, okay, we got our guy. Let's go. I feel like with McCollum, I think there's an understanding here that it's going to take a little time to build the system. But, we'll have to see what the roster looks like. I mean, Cooper Koch would be the other one, Tom. I think just, he's got the full 4 years left. Really high talent. I think he wants to be at Iowa. You know better than me, but, a legacy guy. Just seems like a good fit. And then I would take it a step further and go into the coaching ranks. I think it would be a smart move for McCollum to keep Matt Gatens. Sounds like Matt wants to stay. And Josh Sash, I think I think that would galvanize the fan base even more. Tyler Sash's brother. I mean, Tommy Birch wrote a great story about Josh this last week, kind of how he's inspired by his brother's memory, and he's worked his way up too. He's been with McCollum. He's been in Indian Hills. He's been, I feel like those two are a great starting point for McCollum staff. So we'll see how this builds, but that's where I would start.
I was going to mention the staff, and I think we got to keep Matt Gatens just for continuity's sake. And Matt is so adaptable. I mean, we all know Matt, and he's not the demanding personality or wants to be bigger than the coach. He understands his role, and he's a pretty low key guy. So I think he would fit with McCollum. And Josh Sash would be. I wrote something about like the potential staff, and I put him down because I think that's a great story. If he could come and coach at Iowa after Tyler playing at Iowa and passing away as tragically as he did. I mean, I think that would be such a moving story.
Absolutely, Chad. I know you got to get going. I want to ask you 2 more quick ones. You did a great article about the financial situation and just money in general at Iowa. And I think it's great talking X's and O's with you guys because Iowa can be excited about coaching and the staff that come through, but it's also a changing world when it comes to NIL and money, and it's a big business. And I don't know if you even know the answer to this, but do you think, has Iowa learned anything during this process? Do you feel like they're maybe through negotiations, through seeing a guy leave for more money at West Virginia at Indiana? Where's Iowa at with this? Are they still standing firm with, this is what we're going to spend? Do you think NIL will improve? My 15-year-old every day to me, even this morning, said, Dad, how's Iowa going to get more money? How's Iowa when are they going to get more money? So where is everything after this coaching search and everything when it comes to that? Or do we even know yet?
it's going to be on the lower end in the Big Ten still at this point, but it's a moving target because the higher, that's the first step. If you make the right hire, like Tom said, I think she had to get one of these two names to build that excitement. The reason you fired Fran, or dismissed Fran, I should say, is because there wasn't excitement. So you don't want to hire someone who doesn't bring excitement. So this is a guy that people are excited about. I think it's going to be a moving target. But the one thing that I feel like people need to understand that I've in the article that I wrote is just that Iowa but is choosing to fund football. You have to. You do have to do that. Okay. Women's basketball, you can't spoil. You can't undo the momentum there that you've built. You've built this phenomenon. I mean, I'm down here in Norman. It's just, you can see the excitement still with this program. So you have to fund women's basketball at the highest of levels. Wrestling, that you're committed there. Now, could you do more with outside sources in wrestling? Probably. So it'll be interesting to see what Iowa does revenue share wise there. So men's basketball is still going to have to be, in that mix in the top four. It's not like it's just a 1-2 thing, where it's going to be at other schools. I actually compared it kind of to Penn State a little bit. You've got men's basketball, football, and it's a football school, but also has wrestling, but they don't have the women's basketball piece that Iowa does. So it's, Nebraska has volleyball, Wisconsin has volleyball. There's different universities are going to make different choices. But one thing I wish I would have done a better job of in the article was not putting it all on the Swarm for the fundraising, because Iowa has its foundation too. Like, Beth can do some fundraising. Those people can do fundraising for outside NIL as well. And so it'll be interesting to see how that comes together. And I don't know, Tom, do you feel like it's going to be – I feel like at least there's an injection of excitement here. But I still think it's also going to be like let's make sure we see it first before, start just writing big checks.
Yeah, I think big checks probably come later. But I think the general fan is like, hey, we're going to donate to the Swarm for Iowa basketball right now and try and help out with, if it's $50, $100, $1,000, whatever it might be. I think that's great because it at least gives them something to work with. So we'll see what happens on that front. But I do sense an interjection of energy. I think the press conference is going to be important. You have to win that one. And it's hard to lose an opening press conference, but sometimes that happens. But I think if he shows some energy, if he shows some, says the things that Iowa fans like to hear, I think they'll be able to go to donors. And the other thing, they're also trying to do that capital campaign for Carver Hawkeye Arena, and that's a huge deal, $65 million. So they're trying to reinvigorate just the place. And I do think, too, they've got to figure out a different way to operate on game day at Iowa on basketball, for men's basketball specifically.
Spice it
because
up.
it is just, it's stale.
Yeah.
It's just stale. Maybe having new fans there, this is a golden opportunity to try to appeal to the student fan base and get them more involved again as well.
Chad, give me a pick. I know you're Norman. I know you got to go. You're awesome for doing this. I owe you like 3 free bets, I guess, or something like that. I don't know how I would equate it for you, but give me a pick in the game that you're going to get to go cover here in less than 5 hours.
Yeah, I will say my colleague Dargan picked Iowa. I still need to see Iowa win a close game before I can, form sold. So I'm really impressed with Oklahoma, but I think it's like Oklahoma wins a really tight game. I think it's Iowa plus 4.5. I think I like that. So that's how close I think it's going to be. But I'll say Oklahoma by a little. But I just love the way this Iowa team is playing. I love that the revelation of Ava Hayden. I think that gives them a really good chance with Reagan Beers. Oklahoma's best player is a 6'4" post, kind of like a Megan Gustafson size almost and efficiency. Like it's a Gustafson-esque challenge, I would say, and Sonano efficiency type of thing. When she gets the ball, it's over. So they got to contain her. But Iowa's got some versatility to deal with that. So I think it's going to be a really good game. It's going to come down to defense. Man, it's really two likable coaches. I mean, I got to talk to Baranchek yesterday for a while. She's something else. She's you can just see she's cut from the same cloth as Lisa Bluter and Jan Jensen, in particular Jensen. So, happy for whichever coach wins, but obviously I know you guys want Iowa to go to Spokane. So I think total chance, and that's what you want. To me, it's a successful season. Today would be gravy if they could get to the Sweet 16. It would be an incredible accomplishment in Jan's first year. So I'm not dismissing it at all, but I've got Oklahoma winning a close one.
So here on the show, we start the show off with, and Tommy, I'm keeping you for a few more questions, but we start with you two greats, like the knowledge and the ability to like tell people what it is, and then coming up after we do a break, Pat Anger is going to be here. Talk about a roller coaster ride for viewers. You got all this knowledge, and then you got Pat. God only knows what he's going to say. Chad, I appreciate you doing this. I know you're super busy, so I do owe you big time. Enjoy the game today. Make sure you guys check out Chad on X and all the social media, and check out his stuff as well. He does an amazing job. Get back to work, you lazy bum. Go do some work. All right. Appreciate you, Chad.
Good to see you, Tommy. Good to see you, Tommy. Thanks, Matt, for having me.
Absolutely.
I'll see you this week.
That is the great Chad Leistikow. Joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. We'll keep Tommy for a few minutes because I do want to talk to you about the construction of, I guess my biggest question, I think what people have been texting me about right now is, so when is the announcement? Have they put anything out? Do you expect something tomorrow? Is there a press conference Wednesday? What does this week look like when it comes to Iowa basketball?
I am just looking at a press release that has been sent out by Mr. James Allen, who is the Sports Information Director for basketball, and we will be having a press conference at 3:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Feller Club Room in Carver Hawkeye Arena. So that's when we will get to meet Ben McCollum.
It will be an exciting time. Tom, I know, yes, the Ben McCollum news is big news today. It's also the opening of the transfer portal. And Iowa has not a blank slate, but a pretty clear slate. And I haven't looked on social media, so I don't know. Does Bennett Sturtz get in today? You expect him to kind of come along? And then how does Iowa start? Do you think Ben's already reaching out to people in the portal? Because that was the big thing. They didn't do it too much ahead of the portal being open, but they got a guy in place as the portal opens up today.
Yeah, he's going to hit the ground running. And he's going to be reaching out to some of these guys and guys from Iowa. He's going to that have gone in the portal. He's going to reach out to them and try and build relationships with them and try and retain them on the roster. But then I think he's going to just scour the countryside and find players for his roster. And see what he can put together in terms of talent, in terms of kids that fit his system. They're going to have to battle that perception that they're kind of, methodical, slow, that sort of thing, because most of these guys, they just want to, especially the guys that from Iowa that played for Fran, those guys came to play for a racehorse type basketball. But, they were just they're playing at a fast pace. But like Chad mentioned, McCollum can play fast. He just, you got to play the style that's going to get you wins. And for that first year, it might be, hey, we got to be really pretty methodical because that's going to give us the chance to win. And, it's like playing ball possession in football, where you're just trying to shorten the game a little bit. And maybe that's something that he's going to have to do early on. But I think eventually you got to, the big thing is you don't have a product on the floor at Iowa that you can sell to people. They haven't shown it yet. So that's going to be, I think, the initial challenge for him is trying to get that out there and building this roster. Because I think he probably had a good idea staff-wise what he's going to do, if he's going to retain Matt Gatens, if he's going to bring Josh Sash, or Brighton Williams, one of his assistants, whoever it might be from his staff. I think he's going to bring a mix of different guys, but he can also hire a different type of coach too. I think having a general manager is going to be important. I'm curious to get that question answered from Beth Getz and from Ben McCollum if they're going to hire somebody to be a GM, because so many schools are doing that now, and that's so important in the NIL era because you've got to be able to have somebody on staff who can build those business relationships and enhance the amount of revenue that your players can have during the season. So I think that's important as well.
I want to talk to you about the guys at Iowa that's gotten into the portal, because Chad kind of talked about it a little bit, but I want to the ship has sailed with Owen unless they find $1.5 million hanging out somewhere. And I believe Brock as well. I know Brock has great offers. He's got a list of 6 teams, all these really bad teams that everybody said was coming, like mid-majors like Louisville and TCU and all that kind of stuff. But Texas Tech, who's still playing, but that's besides the point. So those have probably sailed, but there are the interesting ones are Price Sanford. I think Josh Dixon, you kind of mentioned it a little bit. I'd love to see him in the system. That's going to be a tough one to retain as well. But if you look at Price, you look at Cooper Koch, which, Chad touched on a little bit, but kind of talk about those two in particular. And is there any other holdovers from this year's team that stays and is at Iowa next year?
It's going to be interesting to see if anybody stays. I always just assume everybody's going to be gone. I think it's safer to do that than just assume, well, maybe you can get this guy back. Maybe you can get Price back, and maybe you can get Coop back. I'm just assuming all those guys are gone. And you can work them and recruit them like you would any other player and try to get them to come to Iowa. But those guys may have better offers. I mean, Joe Tipton from On3 broke today that Owen's going to be visiting Creighton this week. So I know Creighton's going to be involved with Josh Dix because he's from Council Bluffs, and they tried to get him last year to jump in the portal. But there's never tampering in college basketball, right? Anyway, it's one of those things. And I think it's well documented that Josh's mom has had some health issues, so being close to home might be a priority for him, this coming season. So we'll see with Price. We'll see with Coop. Heard some stuff that Coop might be visiting places. So and he's got some Big East schools after him. So we'll see what happens with Cooper Koch. So it's just it's going to be a state of flux right now with Iowa basketball.
It will be interesting. Tommy, you'll be busy tomorrow up there, and you'll be busy today as well. But a lot of things will be happening. The Hawkeye Report, is the deal still going? Is that thing still rocking and rolling?
$1 for the week. Just jump in for a week, and if you hate it, just dive right back out. That's okay. My feelings will not be hurt.
I promise you will not hate it. You've been covering this thing fantastic. The Hawkeye Report is where it's at Hawkeye Report on X. That was fun to get you and Chad. I felt bad because I almost forgot that we were doing something that people can watch. I was going to start talking to you guys about other stuff. Yeah, I was going to gamble with you guys, but Chad is killing it. You're killing it as well. Tomorrow is a big day. Tom just said there will be a press conference at 3:30 tomorrow at Carver Hawkeye Arena, announcing Ben McCollum as the new head basketball coach for the University of Iowa. Tommy, get back to work. I'll tell Pat you said hi, since you never get to talk to him or text him or anything like that. I'll tell him hi for you.
No, we never talk or text.
Yes, exactly. So, all right, Tommy, we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate you. That is Tom Kakert of the Hawkeye Report. How about that? Chad Leistikow and Tom Kakert together talking about breaking news for the University of Iowa. Ben McCollum, the new head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, coming over from Drake after a 31-win season. Yeah, and a victory in the NCAA tournament, the first one for Drake since 1971. So that was a ton of fun. But we got a lot more to get to. We are just getting warmed up. We mentioned Kyle Huesmann is down in Norman as well, hanging out with Chad. We're going to talk with Kyle from the Hawkeye Report in just a little bit about Iowa's game coming up at 3 o'clock against Oklahoma. Also, Illinois in action against Texas, the ladies. We'll do battle at 1 o'clock today. So a nice little doubleheader of women's basketball. 1 o'clock Illinois, 3 o'clock Iowa. So make sure you check that out as well. We'll talk about Kyle about that as well. Coming up after the break, we're going to get Pat Angerer back in here, talk to him about life. It's always good to kind of go from like the informational stuff that Chad and Tom present to everybody to talk to good old Pat. Pat knows basketball. We'll ask him about Ben McCollum and all that kind of stuff as well. And then later in the show, Don Umland, our referee expert, will be along to talk about the end of that Sweet 16 game or the victory to get to the Sweet 16 for Maryland. Was it a travel? Was it not a travel? We'll talk to him about that as well. Also, we're going to update you guys on the off-the-air bracket challenge and a Randazzo near the top as well. And it's not who you would think. It's not myself, and it's none of my boys as well. We'll talk all about that and much more. You're watching Off the Air on a busy Monday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be back right after this break as you hear from our amazing sponsors here on Off the Air. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist. When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197. And find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Monday here in the Quad Cities. It is Monday, March 24th. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, we love that. We appreciate that. Go ahead and subscribe. Tell your friends about it, because Off the Air is something we do every day here at 10 a.m. We're also live on X as we speak, and there's almost 3,000 people watching this damn show on X right now, which shows that people will watch anything. It's absolutely amazing. But obviously, you put the good-looking guys at the top, and when you have Chad Leistikow and Tom Kakert, that just sells itself, and people flock to that. So we want to thank both of them as well. Of course, the breaking news off the top of the show, it happened this morning. It's official. Ben McCollum, the new basketball coach at the University of Iowa. So great of Chad and Tom to take the time. They're super busy, breaking news and do everything they do to talk to us on Off the Air. That was a ton of fun as well. Also coming up in the show, Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report will be here in hour number 2 to talk about Iowa versus Oklahoma. Coming up, the ladies take center stage at 3 p.m. And also Don Umland later in the show as well, talking about a little controversy when it comes to the end of the Maryland-Colorado State game. But yesterday, or I shouldn't say yesterday, last week was a good week. It was a fun week, but it wasn't the same because we didn't get to be joined by this guy right here. Our good friend. You look good. You look tan. Hi, Pat. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, man. How are you? I missed you. I tell you what, it was a good spring break. I didn't eat too much, didn't drink too much, spent too much money though. Still bald, but it was good to be around the family.
You were gone and you were at Disney.
I was right here, Matt. I was right. I'm always with you.
But I want to talk to you about Disney. I know some people are just annoyed by Disney. I know some people that love Disney. What was the anger or experience like? And I'm sure the kids had fun and all that kind of stuff. But are you a long waiting in lines, going on rides, all that kind of stuff? Is that Pat, or is that kind of annoying to you?
I don't see how people go like every year or multiple times a year. I don't understand that. We last time we went was like 6 years ago, and I think like in every 6-year thing, like I can do that. The waiting in rides, I don't. We're fast pass people or whatever the hell that is. We like to do that. That's that's the only way.
You're rich people. You're rich. Go on. That's great.
No, we're credit. It's all credit. It's all on credit cards.
Yeah.
I'm not a big roller coaster person, but my kids want to do it. My wife gets really motion sick. So I'm like, all right. But roller coasters aren't made for 260-pound people. So it was a little bit tight, a little tight fit. But yeah, so I did it. I had to be a tough guy and did it. And it was fun. Kids enjoyed it. Had a good time. Glad to be home. I miss my dog.
No.
Miss my dog, man.
So Mary does not like a roller coaster.
I think she likes it, but she gets motion sick pretty easy.
Because let's be honest,
mainly roller coasters when I drive. When she looks at me, mainly when she gets sick.
Marrying Pat Anger is kind of a roller coaster ride, is it not? Like she signed up for this.
You're right. She did. That is a really good job by you right there on that one, Matt. That was a good line. I've been waiting on that all day, huh?
Yeah, I was pretty proud of myself. I can't do the roller coaster rides. I can do 1 or 2, but then I got to chill out for a while, like for an hour before I do another one. I didn't used to be that way. Now I'm old. I'm 45. Like, is it still as fun? Can you just rock and roll? Can you just keep going?
Yeah, I thought I wasn't going to be able to, but it was good for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm in prime condition right now. There was one, it was a Universal. It was like this Velociraptor one. And like my butt's coming up off the seat. I'm sitting next to Kale. I look over at him. He looks like he's going to die. So I'm like trying to hold him on. He's screaming for like bloody murder. And that was a violent one. I don't know if any of your viewers have gone on that one before, but that was, I was legitimately scared. I haven't been truly scared in a long time other than stepping on the scale.
How was that this morning after being gone?
My weight?
Yeah. Like how was the scale experience?
Actually, no. I mean, this was probably the only vacation where I like lost weight because you're walking, forever. But we did the park and then like a day at the pool and then a park, a day at the pool. So they kind of broke it up, which I think was doable, made it a little bit better.
Did you?
And it's
One thing
hard too when you go to the pool. When you go to the pool and you look like me, you got all the moms checking you out, and it's like, guys, back off, man. I'm married,
I know. Do you see the
So
ring? Like,
yeah,
just show them the ring.
yeah.
You know.
I try to, and the hard part is they just look at my little bikini, and it's like, just back off.
I told you this probably while we were texting or whatever, but I'm a big proponent of being tan. Tan fat looks better than pale fat. It just does. I think being
Yeah,
down in Florida helps you because, any color to fat looks good, doesn't it?
I'm with you. Absolutely. Yeah. Whatever. I used to wear a shirt in the pool just to make sure.
Over your bikini?
Yeah, over my
Well,
bikini.
what's the point? What's the point? Was there a favorite ride that you went on at Disney or a favorite thing you did on a Disney?
Probably the favorite thing I did was like my daughter's 7 and she was, she's not too big on the rides and stuff yet, which I understand. At the end we went on I went on the teacups with
Oh,
her and that was fun and that was perfect. But the Tron ride, that was cool. I liked that one. It was hard getting my fat ass into that damn motorcycle type thing you got to sit into, but that was a cool one. They were all fine. It was cool seeing the kids excited and scared and you know going over their fears and then at the end being like, oh, that was awesome, and yeah, it's fun. As much as sometimes your kids are a pain in the butt. It's nice hanging out with them.
yeah, I guess so. I'll believe you on that. One last thing about that: have you always been a roller coaster guy? Because I didn't do them growing up. We were the biggest wusses in the world, and I didn't do like the roller coaster rides till college. And I remember going up to college with some college buddies, and we're going to Great America, and they told me we're gonna go on the easiest one first. I didn't back in those days. I guess you couldn't look up information, but they took me on the Raging Bull right off the bat, and it was I put curse words together going up that ride that I had never put together before in my life. Like ever. And then I started talking crap to the roller coaster. I was like, is that all you got? Is that like, I mean, it was a trip. But then the second roller coaster we went on, some idiot in front of us is like, you know how you clamp the thing down? And nowadays they do it like they make sure you're all in. But back in the day, they just had a guy come slap it. And like, this guy would put his arms on his thighs. And then like he would stood up and he's like, hey, they don't got this down. We're going up the thing. And they're like, they don't have me pretty tight. I wanted him to fall out. I was hoping that he would fall out because he likes. So I guess long story short, people like to think they're falling. And I don't like that feeling, if that makes any sense. I'd rather not know I'm falling. Were you roller coaster ride since you were a little punk with a mullet back in the day? Or was it something that you got used to?
It was a rat tail. It wasn't a mullet. Which is
Understood.
way classier.
Yeah.
It's way classier.
Yeah.
I don't know, not really. I don't know. I mean, we would go to Adventureland and I think Six Flags and stuff. I don't really remember. My sister I remember her she was big on roller coasters. She loved them, but I wasn't super keen on them. I don't know. It's a control thing, and I don't know. They're fine. Whatever. Kids had fun.
Yeah.
I don't think I was a huge roller coaster guy growing up.
I'm proud of myself or my kids because I make them do it now. Like I remember my 13-year-old now was probably 8 when he rode on, and we went to the biggest one and we said, get on. And then he did it and they like him. So I think that's the way to do it. Pat Anger joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I got a bunch of things for you. I want to start with your, last week we had Matt Drinkle on the show. Head coach at Central Michigan. He had a lot of good things to say about you. He had a few bad things to say about you. I've never been more blown away by a head coach, and I'd known him in passing and all that kind of stuff. But like getting to know a guy, I'm a huge Central Michigan fan right now. He's the real deal, isn't he?
Oh, he's legit. He's legit. And I know he had talked about one of his offensive coordinator being very unhealthily obsessed with football. Well, Matt's the same way. He's the exact same way. And a lot of people don't know this. I don't get recruited without Matt Drinkle. I don't. I don't make it to Iowa. I don't make it to the NFL, without him. He really handled all my recruiting in high school. And I remember he kind of knew that I had an opportunity to move on. I had the skill for it. So he would make me come in the weight room. I'd have to be the first one in the weight room, and it'd have to be the last one to leave. And when I get done with my lift, I'd have to stretch, basically until I cried. And then I'd have to get on the bike and ride the bike. And it was funny, like there were some kids on the team that were like, well, Pat's getting extra treatment and all that stuff. So Matt was like, all right, well, then you guys do what he did. And nobody could do it. And everyone's like, no, I don't want to do that. But he made my highlight tapes. He did the recruiting calls. Like he literally did everything. Without him, I don't go to Iowa. And he's been a good friend and a good mentor throughout my whole life. And Central Michigan is extremely lucky to have him.
The way he talks about football and life has me so on board with the success that they're going to have. Like he's looking for the right people, the right dudes. He's putting Iowa football into Central Michigan right now. And as somebody who knows a little bit about Iowa football, that's a really good thing, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And I just loved how he talked about like just the culture of where they're around, just the city and the people that live in that community. And they want to embody that with how they play football. And that's what Iowa does. We want to do things tough. We want to fight. We want to outwork everybody. We're not going to be flashy, but we're going to grind. And I tell you what, that wins and it works. And I know that it's going to work for Matt.
I don't know why Pat Anger is joining us. I don't know why your name's not underneath your screen. I'm trying to figure out why I can't get that to, but everyone knows you. You look at you. You're a face. Everybody knows that face, that big lovable face. He did mention that Joe Conklin's last game in high school was like some ass kicking, and that you tackled him like 500 times. Was that mean? Was that true?
Well, I've tackled Joe like 500 times, but that game I don't think I played that game because I broke my back.
Well,
I broke my back. Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I could easily sit out a playoff game against Assumption because they're not going to win, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
I love that. And also one more with on Matt Drinkle. Boy, there's rumblings that he may join us at the golf outing this year, at my dad's golf outing. I think we would win. So. I think we would win if he did that. Don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if I can keep score, we're going to win no matter who our fourth is.
People are not going to like you saying that. Here's the thing. It's cute when Pat says it. Like, oh, it's Pat. It's cute. Oh, bless his heart. If I say it, I'm the biggest asshole in the world because I'm a cheater. But we would never cheat. We would never cheat in an event that honors my dad. Would never do that.
Sure.
I'd never do that. Hey, Iowa's got a new basketball coach. I know you love basketball and you know a lot about the game. Are you excited this morning as a Hawkeye that there's a new era of Iowa basketball? He seems like a good dude.
Yeah, he does. He seems like a great guy. I mean, it seems like Drake just puts out really good basketball coaches all the freaking time. Looking at the women's game, today. Gosh, now is it Baranchek?
Yeah,
she played at Iowa. She's the Oklahoma coach. She coached at Drake. Lisa Bluter, Jan Jensen coached at Drake. Like Drake must be a spot for really good coaches. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's great that it's finalized because then you don't have to listen to all the speculation and everybody on the internet talking about it all day long. But yeah, it should be cool. It's nice to have people excited about Iowa basketball.
Tom was just on here and Chad was just on here, and man, they're good looking. But they both said that like this is very similar to hiring Kirk Ferentz at the University of Iowa because everybody wanted Bobby Stoops, this hot candidate, and they went with Kirk Ferentz, a 43-year-old. That's what Ben McCollum is 43 years old. He's more of a defensive guy, all that kind of stuff. They both compared it to the hiring of Kirk Ferentz. That's someone you know a little bit. That would be good for Iowa basketball, wouldn't it be, if they got their Kirk Ferentz?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Coach Ferentz is the best, one of the best to ever freaking do it. He's the longest tenured coach in the NCAA Division One football, and just a great man. And I think he represents the state of Iowa and the people of Iowa extremely well. And Coach McCollum, he's an Iowa boy. He's born in Iowa City, and lived in Iowa. And just if he is anything like Coach Ferentz, man, we got it freaking going on. It's going to be great. And I think the way, and I don't know anything about basketball. I don't know anything. I've read like one article, and it seems like his, it's like we talked about with Matt Drinkle. It seems like his philosophy and what he tries to teach and how he plays, it's a good representation of the people of Iowa and how hard we work. And we're going to play tough defense. We're going to control the ball, control the possession. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. It'll be really exciting.
You know nothing about basketball. It's
No.
March Madness. Did you fill out a bracket?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And how you doing?
I'm in last.
No,
I'm
are you
last.
really?
Yeah.
Who you got winning it all?
I got Duke in Florida in the championship.
Well, then you won't end up
Yeah.
last.
Well, the reason I was in Florida. I left the pool, went to get a drink, and there was a guy in a Duke uniform or in a Duke hat, and I talked to him for a while, and he said they were going to win. So I'm like, well, shoot, I'm in Florida, and I'm seeing a Duke guy, so it's like I might as well put them, in the finals.
You're a genius. You're an
Common
absolute
sense, right?
genius. Yeah, I mean, it only makes sense. What pool are you in? You did not get into the off the air pool. We're doing a pool here. You go away. You went away. We're doing a pool.
I'm sorry. I thought it was a pool, like your pool, like actual pool.
No, I can't afford a pool.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
No.
I'll pull up your tax records here
right now.
I
start reading them on air.
It's just a family pool, just with my kids and Mary's family.
Do you know about the off the air pool? Like what you win if you win? Have you seen it? Did you watch the show at all when you were down in Florida?
I'm sorry.
Once?
I was hanging out with my family and enjoying our vacation.
So because I want to pump up our sponsors even more, the winner of the pool gets a large chips and salsa and a dozen enchiladas from Snoop. They get a large specialty or 3 topping pizza from Godfather's, and they get a $20 gift card from Hungry Hobo. Isn't that great?
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's the greatest thing ever. That's better than $1 million.
What do you no, it's not. What do you get if you win the family pool?
I don't probably respect.
I don't know.
Which I've been trying to get since I was 15 from Mary's family. I still don't have it yet.
I think they like you. Before we let you go, I'm not going to keep you too long today because we got so much March Madness. It's just good to see you again.
Oh, you've got other important people to talk to. It's good to see you.
No, it's funny because people said, like, honest to God, and it doesn't surprise me. They're like, we missed Pat last week. Hey, did any your house okay? Like anything happen while you were gone? Everything good?
No, it's all good.
Okay, just checking. I know
we're good.
Did I tell you this? You always make fun of me. Back a year or so ago in this luxury neighborhood that I live in, I got my car stolen.
Yeah, me and my kids, we stole it.
I've been living the worst area in the Quad Cities. No, and it's back again, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, but you go to the rich neighborhood to steal the cars. That's what you do. And God forbid you lock your car.
That was
just lock your car and don't have your keys. And you don't have your keys in there. No one's going to steal it. It's not that hard.
Okay,
I don't understand it.
It's so I don't
just
look like an
car.
idiot. I don't want to get into it a lot, but I had everything locked. I had my keys with me. I was inside, and one of my kids is like, "Hey, we want to play basketball. Can you move the car off the driveway?" So I went to go do it, and then you know how kids are. You look out in the backyard, and they're all playing football all of a sudden. And so I yelled at him. I said, "Hey, are you going to play basketball, or are you going to play football?" And they're like, "We're good. We're going to play football." So I just got out of the car, went back inside, and I didn't lock it. I left the keys in it, but everything was good. We found everything. Everything was all good. To
me, it sounds like an inside job. It sounds like your kids were in on it, in my opinion. They probably, the guys probably gave him $20 and yeah, this is an inside job all the way.
I might need to talk to them when they get home tonight. That's a good call.
As you should.
Yep. Are we ever going to play basketball?
I'm waiting for you. You've
been in Florida.
Yeah, they got double rims down there, and I was draining them. Draining them.
Double rims? Where'd you stay?
Yeah, a double rim. I don't know, some resort. It's really nice.
Oh,
It was, but they had the double rims on the hoops.
A resort.
I didn't pay for it.
Oh,
I don't know, Matt. They're at the pool, and they slept in a bed.
My family stays at hotels, motels sometimes. We don't even get the hotel; we get the motel. So resorts must be nice. What does your schedule look like this week?
Huh?
Don't act like you can't hear me. Huh?
What?
That's what my kids say.
Dude. I'll tell you what. It is that. One of the things about, obviously taking vacation is great, but gosh, when you get back, it's like drinking from a fire hose. It's madness. I got some meetings planned, got some things going on, just trying to get my life together here today.
So
and
you're
figure
busy
out,
this week, is what you're saying. You're busy this week.
This week is very busy. However, I could possibly maybe squeeze something in at some point. But you just got to give me some available times. Okay. I know we're waiting on your fancy camera guy.
Well, we just need to be able to show people what happens. I'm scared out of my mind. I want to re-talk about the what we're gonna do for it. Because Brian Stocking was on last week. You missed that. Stockpile was here, and he hit the nail on the head. He hit the nail on the head so hard, like a bump came out. That's how much he hit the nail on the head when it came to what we should do.
Yeah.
We should.
What did he say?
You should wear like jerseys that you don't like if I win, and then vice versa. So I got to wear like, Illini stuff or whatever, Bears stuff mainly for me. I'm a Bears hater. And then you got to wear like an Iowa State jersey or I'm
not wearing that shit.
Well, would you rather wear that or stand in a dress in the middle of 53rd with a sign that said Matt Randazzo is my daddy? That's what you agreed
I'd rather do that. I didn't agree. What is this? I'd rather do that, though.
I just made up half. Okay, so here's what we're going to do, because people don't care about this anymore. We're going to lose interest if we don't do this soon. Next week on the show on Monday, we're going to finalize what we're playing for, and then during the week next week, we're going to actually do it. And then the following week, we'll have the video proof.
Perfect.
All right.
Hey, can we talk about NCAA wrestling championships, how awesome they were?
Yes. And boy, did I get screwed again.
Huh?
The what's his name?
So?
The stalling.
Ayala.
That wasn't stalling, was it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think he was. I don't know. The thing is, you can't. It's just like in football, right? You can't leave it to the refs to decide. In a UFC fight, you can't leave it to the judges, and you can't put yourself in a situation to have them call that stalling call. And he knows it. He's a freaking good wrestler. He's a 2-time national finalist. Like, he's gonna come back next year and he's gonna win a natty. And Caliendo fought really well, like really good. And then Buchanan came and won, and then it finished with a really good heavyweight bout that came down the last second shot by Henderson that I called, and I said that was going to happen, and dang it, we should have bet $1 billion on it, but it was fun, it was exciting. I think I did the math. It was, and maybe fact check me on that. I think every match, if you average the matches, it was decided by like 2 points. Just really, really good wrestling.
You did the math on it?
I called a guy.
Is that why your eye is lazy? Because you started doing math?
Is it right now?
No, it's not bad. It looks good. When it starts getting a little droopy, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But no, it was a great weekend of wrestling too. I'm sitting here at a kid's baseball game, and like my phone is blowing up, and I'm like, oh, they must be talking about the Iowa coaching search or whatever, and it's you and it's Conklin and Kakert just going nuts about the wrestling, and I got to watch most of it when I got back.
That was so good.
Yeah, it was really good stuff. You know what, Pat? You're good stuff.
I love you. I'm so proud of you, man.
You don't know what love means. You don't know what love means. All right. I'm just. That's got weird.
How many viewers do we have now?
Too many. I don't know. I don't look. I don't care. I don't do this for the viewers, Pat. I do this for the pure enjoyment of it. This is what my life is now. I don't have no ego. No ego. There you go. All right, Pat. Well,
it's a good life, and you're doing great.
We'll see you next week. It's been fun catching up.
Can't wait, man. We'll see you,
All right.
buddy.
See you, pal. That is
Bye.
Pat Anger. I don't know if anybody listened to any of that, and you should have, because it's all great stuff. But we're going to do that. Next week, we're going to finalize this, what we're going to be betting on. Pat thinks he can beat me in horse, and he can't. So we're going to figure it out. I just don't want to lose my hair. I just can't. So anyways, we'll figure it out, and then next week sometime we're actually going to do it. We just got to figure out somebody that can go shoot it for us so that we have video proof of what happens, because he's a liar. So anyways, we are halfway home here on Off the Air on a Monday, over halfway home. Coming up after the break, Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report will join us to talk about what's to come today. 3 o'clock today, it's Iowa versus Oklahoma in with a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line. So when we get back, the one and only Kyle Huesmann will join us from Norman. You're watching Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. It was a great weekend of college basketball, and it continues here on a Monday. The ladies taking center stage, and it starts soon. The Fighting Illini in action against Texas. Just afternoon, 1 o'clock start here Central Time. And then, of course, the Iowa women take the floor in Oklahoma, and that's where we find our good friend, the Hawkeye Report's Kyle Huesmann. It is Iowa versus Oklahoma this afternoon, 3 o'clock. Kyle, I know it's been a good weekend so far. Before we talk about Monday, I want to talk to you quickly about Saturday. And we talked last week, and we thought Murray would be a challenge. Iowa would win. I don't know if either of us saw the performance they had on Saturday. That was really impressive.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was interesting because the first half was less than ideal for Iowa. Hannah Stolke gets a couple fouls in less than 2 minutes and has to go to the bench. And, Ava Hayden was going to play, but I don't think she expected to play less than 2 minutes into the game. So kind of a different spot for her to be in. And she came in and made an impact right away. I think had 9 points in the first quarter, had 13 in the first half. But Iowa was in a lot of foul trouble. Lucy Olson had 3 fouls at halftime. Kylie Fierbach had a couple of fouls. They had some pretty significant foul trouble. And, Taylor Stremlo was really good off the bench as well in the first half, hit a couple of threes. But it was 35-30 with just a couple of minutes till the half. And it seemed like Iowa was playing better than that, but the foul trouble was really an issue. A 7-0 run right before the half was huge. Hit a three and a couple of baskets. And it felt like that 12-point lead at halftime was about where you expected it to be with kind of the way the game had went. And I really do think that 7-0 run is kind of what turned the game. And then, of course, just, like a minute into the second half, Caitlin Young from Murray State goes down with an injury. Really tough to see her go down, as we had talked about, active leading scorer in D1 basketball. To see her career at Murray State end that way was tough. But then Iowa from there. Iowa just was going up and down the court in transition. They knocked down some threes. And Murray State, who has hung their hat on threes all season, just couldn't make one. We're like 2 of 24, 2 of 25 after 3 quarters, hit a couple in the fourth. But yeah, I mean, the thing that Murray State had to do was make a lot of threes, and they didn't really make any. So Iowa was able to take advantage of that. They got up and down the court in transition, which is something that Murray State wanted to do. And it ended up going away that I did not expect. But yeah, the first half was a little interesting with the foul trouble. I thought Iowa did a really good job of adjusting to that adversity. And then once they got the ball rolling in the second half, they really got it rolling.
Kyle, now comes Oklahoma. Obviously, Oklahoma at home, 3:00 start today. What's the vibe down there in Oklahoma? Obviously, we know what women's college basketball here in the state of Iowa is like. I don't know if they can match that atmosphere. So I want to start with the atmosphere. What do you expect today when you get to the arena here early this afternoon and when we get rocking and rolling and eventually tip things off at 3:00?
Yeah, Oklahoma had a really good crowd, for the Florida Gulf Coast game. I want to say it was right around 9,000. So a really solid crowd, and they've been doing that for the majority of the year. If I'm not mistaken, they were right around that for their average for the season. So they've got a pretty solid fan base. But as you mentioned, 3:00 start time on a Monday. Dennis and I have been driving around, Norman. We've seen a couple of schools that say that they're going back to school from spring break today. So 3 p.m. with school back the first day back from spring break, you just don't know how much affect the crowds. Monday's a tough day for the women's basketball tournament, just because unless you're that late game, people are going back to work. People are coming back from spring break, so it's always tough. But I think Oklahoma's still going to find a way to have that 8,000-9,000. I mean, this is to go to the Sweet 16, something that they haven't done under Jenny Baranczyk. This is their 4th try at it. So I think they're going to still have a good crowd. But on Iowa's side of it, you talk about how much they've played in front of Carver fans, the sold out crowds, things like that. What they experienced, some of the returning players, what they experienced on the road last year with sold out crowds, with all the people that wanted to come watch Caitlin and that team. And then even Lucy Olson, who's played in several NCAA tournament games and played in the Sweet 16 before. I don't think that the crowd is going to be that big of a deal, even if it is, a surprise 10,000 or something like that. I talked to Taylor McCabe yesterday, and she says that it is a little different when the fans are cheering against you. But overall, there's not a lot that changes. Even at Carver, when the fans are going crazy and I was playing USC, yeah, the fans are going crazy, but you still have to communicate in that environment. So there's not a ton that changes when they're cheering for you or against you, because there are some of those same communication factors in dealing with that loud of an atmosphere. And Iowa's been through it a number of times, and obviously the run to the Final Four is an extra level of experience that they have. So I think the atmosphere is going to be great, but I don't think it's going to be something that's going to affect Iowa like it would maybe another team that hasn't gone through that with their home crowd and the same runs that they've had the last couple of years.
Kyle, there's a lot of storylines here, and you mentioned the big one. Sweet 16 is on the line, and that's obviously a big thing. And I want to start with that one. There's other ones with a coach and all of those kind of things I want to talk to you about, but to get to the Sweet 16, and we sat here, maybe one of the first times you were on the show, and we were like, what's wrong with Iowa basketball? They're 12-7 and struggling, 5-game losing streak, yada, yada, yada. And they've been one of the best teams in college basketball and women's college basketball in the last month. What would it mean for this team to get there, to get to that Sweet 16? Obviously, there's bigger prizes, but I think this would mean a lot to this team considering everything. Talk about the goal of this Sweet 16.
Yeah, I talked with Jan Jensen yesterday, and she said the reason why the Sweet 16 is always such a big deal, Elite Eight for National Championship, those are all the next steps after that. But the reason people celebrate the Sweet 16 so much is you win your first round game, you have to play, 48 hours later. And then if you win there, you get that week off to celebrate. We made it into the Final 16. You don't have to play a game immediately. You actually get to kind of sit down and say, hey, we advanced to the second weekend of the tournament. And even when you advance to the Elite Eight, again, it's a 48 hours later after that Sweet 16 win. So you don't really get to celebrate getting to the Elite Eight. So the Sweet 16 is like that first rung on the ladder. We made it from the first to the second weekend. And for this team, I feel like it would be a huge accomplishment. You talk about this season, the offseason, with all the people that they lost from the roster, Lisa Bluter retiring, Jan Jensen taking over. And then during the season, some of the struggles they had with that 5-game losing streak and where they sat at 12-7, firmly on the bubble of the NCAA tournament, to turn it around, all the work they did to grind through that 7-10 area of the NCAA tournament for seeding, which we talked about a ton during the last part of the season, to grind through all that and get all the way to a 6 seed, to give yourself a more manageable matchup. If they could get through this game today and get to the Sweet 16, it would feel like a huge accomplishment. And I think the Sweet 16 is kind of what people had as a hope for this year. You know they're not going back to the Final Four probably, but felt like the Sweet 16 was one of those, if you can make it there, then let Jan kind of continue to build her team, build her program, and get the wheels going with recruiting, with the transfer portal, things like that. But on the other hand, that, as you mentioned, as well as they're playing towards the end of the season now, and where they rank, Torvik has them ranked as like the 9th best team in the country since January 21st when that 14-game run started. So it would feel like, if they lost today, it would feel like kind of a letdown a little bit. Not to say it's not a successful season, but just the way they played down the stretch, it feels like there's a pretty sizable difference between winning today. A win would feel like you really paid off all that work that you went through the second half of the season. And a loss today would feel like, man, this team played better than a team that in a second round exit. So I do think a win today would really make this a successful season. I think the players feel the same way. I know Jan feels the same way, that this would be huge for this team with what they've gone through to be able to get on that second rung of the ladder and get to a Sweet 16. But yeah, Oklahoma's a great team, and it's a battle today.
Let's talk about some of the other storylines, because Sweet 16 is obviously number one, but there's a Hawkeye reunion between the Oklahoma head coach and the University of Iowa. And you could see yesterday when you guys got to meet with the media, the amount of respect and love she still has for that program. Talk about that dynamic, because it is going to be interesting to watch a former Hawkeye coach against the Hawkeyes with so much on the line.
Yeah, and both coaches tried to downplay it just a little bit, which I'm not surprised. And the reason they are downplaying is because Jenny Baranczyk, coached 9 years at Drake. So she's gone up against Iowa a number of times in a rivalry setting. And Jan was obviously an assistant coach during that time. So they're past like the, oh my goodness, this is my first time going against Iowa, or oh my goodness, this is my first time coaching against Jenny Baranczyk. That part of the storyline is gone. But this is definitely different. It's the first time that Jan's been head coach. So this is the first time they're going head-to-head as head coaches. And whether people want to say it or not, Drake, Iowa is a completely different level than to go to the Sweet 16, Iowa, Oklahoma, right? So it's just a little bit different, level of the matchup. They're not worried about it. As you said, they're very respectful. Both sides, they both love each other and love the program or the Iowa program. But yeah, it's interesting because this is the only second-round matchup in the entire women's tournament that neither coach has made a Sweet 16. Jenny Baranczyk has been in the tournament 6 times. 3 times with Drake, they all lost in the first round. 3 times with Oklahoma now, and 3 straight lost in the second round 3 times in a row. So they really would like to get to that Sweet 16. And for Jan, this is their first try. So someone is going to make a Sweet 16 today, and it's going to be a former or a current Iowa player or coach. And that's what makes it interesting to me, not the fact that they're going up against each other, just that one of them is going to get their first Sweet 16 berth today. But yeah, I mean, it's a matchup that people want to talk the storylines about, but yeah, they've definitely had those matchups with her time at Drake, and very respectful though. There's no, they said, obviously you want to win today. I don't really think they like playing each other, to be honest. They both talk about, we root for each other when we're not playing each other. So they both would love to go to the Final Four, right? But it's just the way it got set up, they're playing each other. So they both really want to win today, but at the end of the day, when that final buzzer sounds, I think the opposing coach, whoever loses, will be very happy for the one that won.
Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report joining us from Oklahoma, Iowa, and Oklahoma, 3 p.m. today, with a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line. And Kyle, what has to happen for Iowa to be victorious? And when I look at things, the first thing that pops out is what you kind of talked about earlier, and what happened in game one, that they survived. The early foul problems, stuff like that. I don't think you can get away with that today against Oklahoma and be playing next week as well. So when you look at the big picture at this game, what has to happen for Iowa to cut down the nets and go on the road and earn themselves a Sweet 16?
Yeah, the first player that stands out for Oklahoma is Reagan Beers. I mean, really one of the best centers in the country, and it's not even up for discussion. That's going to be the matchup that is going to be the one to watch. How does Iowa defend her? Can they score in the paint against her? Reagan Beers, some of these stats are pretty incredible. She's averaging 17.7 points a game and 9.2 rebounds, but she's only averaging just over 20 minutes a game. She's playing just over half the game and averaging those numbers. 60.7% and paint shots that aren't at the rim. So she's really good in the paint, whether she's at the rim or not at the rim. But then you move towards the rim, right around the basket, 4.5 feet from the basket, 72.8%. No, that's not 100%, so it's not perfect. But in the game of basketball, 72.8% near the basket is about as close to perfect as you can get. Does a really good job on the offensive boards, 4.7 per 40 minutes. So it does a really good job of, if she does miss a shot or her teammate missed a shot, she's a threat to grab an offensive rebound on any possession. So it's going to be tough for Iowa to defend her. I'm really curious to see what game plan Jan Jensen has. As obviously the post coach, well, not the post coach now, but the former post coach and all the experience she has with that. Definitely going to be interesting to see how she scouted Reagan Beers and what, maybe flaws or maybe some slight weaknesses she found when watching film there. But on the other side, Iowa's going to have to find a way to score, whether it's with Hannah Stolke or Ava Hayden or Addie O'Grady. I'm, again, really curious to see how Iowa runs the offense. What do they try to do to maybe get some open looks for those players? Oklahoma's a team that really likes to go fast, getting up and down the floor. So if Iowa can get some stops on defense, maybe a chance for Hannah Stolke or Ava Hayden to steal some baskets in transition where they don't have to post up against the Reagan Beers and try to score that way. A couple of interesting things. You mentioned the foul trouble. Yeah, certainly Hannah Stolke cannot get in foul trouble 2 minutes into the game and put you in a position where you have to go with Ava Hayden and Addie O'Grady for an entire half. I think you're going to have to rotate all three players and maybe put a couple on the floor at the same time. But yeah, Reagan Beers does a really good job of getting to the free throw line. Was fifth in the SEC in free throw rate, so she gets there quite a bit. And then rebounding wise, Oklahoma had 72 rebounds against Florida Gulf Coast, which is I don't know if I've ever seen over 70 rebounds in a game. Second in the country in rebounding margin, and Iowa themselves are a very good rebounding team. So they just have to find a way to keep it close. I don't think they have to win the rebounding battle, but you just can't let Oklahoma rack up offensive rebounds. They had 23 offensive rebounds against Florida Gulf Coast. Can't allow near that today. And then the other thing that's really interesting to me is Oklahoma turns it over a lot. They're the fastest paced team in the country, so they are going to, as we've talked about with Iowa the past couple of years, they're going to turn it over a little bit more when you try to go at that high of a level. But Oklahoma's averaging 18.8 turnovers a game. I mean, just a lot of turnovers, and they don't force a lot as well with their defense. They're 202nd in the country in turnover rate on offense and 282nd in defense of turnover rate. So if Iowa can limit their mistakes, which I feel like they've done a little bit better job down the stretch this season, Oklahoma's going to give them a few turnovers. And if Iowa can get out in transition, that could be a big area. If Oklahoma turns it over a decent amount of times, and Iowa can get out and get Hannah Stolke baskets or Ava Hayden some baskets or find some transition three-pointers, I think that could be really big today. And the last thing that I want to mention, and it's a number that people will hear, and it'll be hard to wrap their head around, but this number is 0.97. It's points per possession. So Oklahoma this season, defensively, when they allow their opponent to average less than 0.97 points per possession in a game, they're 25-0. But when opponents get over that number, they're 1-7. So all 7 losses have come when their opponent has gotten over that 0.97 points per possession on offense. For Iowa, when they go over that number, they're 18-1. When they go under that number, they're 5-9. So it's a very significant number for both sides. And now I've had a couple of people ask me, how do you average 0.97 or how do you average 1 point per possession in the game? There's no way to say like, oh, you have to do this specifically. But it comes down to limiting turnovers, hitting easy looks. If you can get some looks in transition, you can't miss layups in transition. You can't miss wide open threes. It's just kind of running the offense that Iowa's had over this last stretch of the season. They've been very efficient. They've scored at a high level. They've been averaging 1 point per possession and more consistently down the stretch this season. So there's no real one way to say how you get to it. But it is a number that when this game gets over today, when you look at that points per possession for Iowa, it's likely going to tell you who won the game. You don't even have to look at the final score. If you see Iowa's under that 0.97, they probably lost. And if they got over it, if they're at 1 point or higher, they probably won. So again, like I said, there's no way of telling you how does Iowa get to it. But I would say the last 14 games, for the most part, the way that they've operated on offense, that's the way that you get to that number. And it's a very telling number. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out today because Iowa has been one of the better offensive teams in the country down the stretch this season.
Kyle, before we let you go, you got a busy day. Give us do you have a prediction? Do you have a final score? All that kind of stuff. What do you see happening today here in, 4 hours? Something like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really close game. I'd be surprised if either team wins by more than a few points. It's possible. But it's just not the way when I break down this matchup. It just doesn't feel like either team has that big of an advantage. For Iowa, I think it's going to come down to rebounding. How close can they keep the rebounding battle? Can they keep Oklahoma limited on the offensive glass? And for me, the other end of it is 2-point shooting. Can Iowa have some success in, whether it's mid-range with Lucy Olson or Sita Fulter with trying to get to driving to the lane? how can Iowa score inside the 3-point arc? And can they be successful? Can they get some baskets in transition? Can they score, in the paint, just straight up on offense going up against Reagan Beers? And they've got a couple of players off the bench that can play as well. They have a really solid front court with some forwards that are necessarily not the height that you would expect of a forward, but really athletic, good at guarding several positions. So I was going to have to find a way to be successful in the 2-point shooting area today. And of course, they're going to have to make some threes. Oklahoma can make threes. Iowa's going to have to make some threes. But I do think the other thing is turnovers. Does Oklahoma turn it over a lot, and how does Iowa take advantage of that? Oklahoma's turned it over 13 or 20 plus times in 13 games. That's a lot of times turning it over 20 plus times. So if Iowa can take advantage of that, I think they have a shot. Like I said earlier, though, it feels like this would be a little bit of a letdown if Iowa lost, just because of all the work they did to get to this moment. And watching the way Iowa's played over the last 14 games and looking at some of the metrics like Torvik, where Iowa's ranked 9th, it feels like this isn't a 6 versus a 3. This is a 4 versus a 3, or a 3 versus a 3, even with the way that Iowa's played as of late. I like the experience that Iowa has with playing in the NCAA tournament. There's players on this roster that have been through it to the Final Four. They know how hard it is to win this second-round matchup. We've seen Iowa go to the wire with Georgia and West Virginia at Carver the last 2 years. They know how hard it is to win this matchup. They know the pressure that is on home team in this matchup. I like Iowa's experience to come out here. I like Lucy Olson to have a big game. This is why they brought her in, to be here for this moment and have a good performance in a game like this. I think Iowa wins. I've got Iowa by I think it's 77 seconds to check my preview. It just feels like the second half of the season, this run, and where the metrics have them, and how confident they've been on the offensive end and how they've done on the defensive end all year. It feels like a Sweet 16 is how good this team is. And it just feels like that's where they're going to get there. It feels like they can go out and win this game today. So I've got them winning. I do. I think they're just going to pay off all that work that we talked about, going from 12-7 and on the bubble to win some games that maybe we didn't expect to get to this point. It just feels like they're going to do it today to get it done. And more than me feeling it, like we just broke down the matchup, Iowa has a shot to win this game. A higher shot than the seeding shows. But yeah, I've got Iowa winning today. I think they're able to get it done.
You mentioned it. It's not like it's 4 or 5 quick games that they've played pretty good in. It's a 14-game stretch right now where that's a large sample size of just how good these young ladies have been. Kyle, last thing. Dennis keeps posting pictures of food, and it's killing me. Are you partaking in the Oklahoma cuisine that he is, and how good eating have you had this past weekend?
Yeah, we got a recommendation list. Tom got a recommendation list from Chuck Long for places here in Norman. So we went to a couple good places. Unfortunately, the sushi place we wanted to go to yesterday was closed, so we had to find a different sushi place. But yeah, we've had a couple of good locations. The Italian place we went to the other night is apparently frequented by a lot of Oklahoma people. Bob Stoops, Chuck Long, Jenny Bronchek was there while we were there. Barry Switzer apparently likes it. Our waiter was telling us the On 3 Oklahoma guy. Gosh, I can't remember. It was called Scratch. Very good place as well. So yeah, I never am worried when Dennis is picking food options. We got that list from Tom, and I never even looked at the list. I just said Dennis will look through this. He'll look at all the menus, and wherever he says we're going, I'm sure it'll be a great place. But yeah, the food has been fantastic. So that has been a good part of the trip as well.
I love it. He's Kyle Huesmann with the Hawkeye Report. He will have everything covered today. It's Iowa and Oklahoma 3 o'clock tip, Central Time, And, of course, if you need all the coverage that you want, the Hawkeye Report is the place to be. Tell Dennis I said hello. Good luck today, and hopefully we talk to you about a Iowa victory later this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
All right, that is Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report, and he's got a big day ahead, a busy day of basketball for both the Iowa women and the Illinois women. The Illini women playing again, coming up at noon as well. Noon or 1, I got to check that. But anyways, a big afternoon of college women's basketball for fans right here in the Quad Cities. Well, we got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Monday. We'll be right back. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist. When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off the Air on a Monday right here in the Quad Cities. Monday, March 24th. Thank you guys for tuning in. Great numbers on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, if you're on YouTube for the first time, check it out the show with all the breaking news. And you haven't subscribed, please do so ASAP. Also, X is very, very good to us today. So we appreciate you guys watching wherever you're watching, however you're watching. Also, the podcast form will be up. Oh, gosh. 25 minutes after I get done doing this. So you can check us out on the podcasting platforms as well. Anywhere you get your podcasts. Of course, the breaking news off the top of the show, Ben McCollum, the new head basketball coach at the University of Iowa, they will hold a press conference tomorrow at 3:30. So we had Chad Leistikow and Tom Kakert, two of the best in the business. Both of them joining us to break down Ben McCollum to Iowa. Of course, Chad's down in Norman getting ready for the Oklahoma-Iowa game. So check out all of Chad's stuff. Check out all of Tommy's stuff as well. And then also we just had Kyle Huesmann on talking about the Iowa women's game as well. Kyle with the Hawkeye Report down in Oklahoma as well. Pat Anger was back. It was Monday. He was back from Disney. We talked about a little bit of everything with Pat Anger. Always good to catch up with him. And we got more to get to in just a minute. We're going to talk about a big call yesterday as well. But before I go anywhere, I do have to mention the Off the Air bracket challenge has been going great. Well, not technically for me, but for everyone out there. We want to thank you if you got in. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors as well. Godfather's, Hungry Hobo, and Snoop's Chips and Salsa. The winner will get a specialty or 3-topping pizza from Godfather's, large chips and salsa, and a large enchilada or a dozen enchiladas from Snoop, and then a $20 gift card from Hungry Hobo. 3 of our fantastic sponsors for Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Excited to welcome Rafferty Funeral Homes as a sponsor here in the very near future as well. So we want to thank our sponsors. They're what allow me to do this each and every day here in the Quad Cities. But when it comes to who's winning the bracket right now, I don't have it listed up here, but Alex Robertson is leading the pool right now. In second place with a Florida national champion is Scott Morrell, the Alabama basketball coach. Scotty Moe representing well. He's in second place. I'm not going to read off everyone, but when it comes to like my family, it's not me. It's not Matt Randazzo or Charlie Randazzo or Colton Randazzo or Jennifer Randazzo. How about my mom, Eva Randazzo, sitting in 7th place, and she has Houston. So if Houston wins the national championship, I'm going to have my mom on the show. It's going to be great. I'll have my mom on the show. We'll talk about how great a kid I was, all that great stuff. So we want to thank you guys for getting in the bracket, the Off the Air bracket challenge. When it came to yesterday's games and the games in general, I don't think that the March Madness was as mad as it's been in the past. I think a big reason for that is NIL. The mid-majors aren't as strong as they used to be, and a lot of chalk, a lot of favorites won. There weren't a lot of buzzer beaters, but there was one yesterday, and it comes with a little controversy, so we have to turn to our referee expert and our wrestling expert, Don Umland. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Don Umland. Donnie, how are you, buddy?
I'm very well on this Monday. Thank you, sir.
Yes. What were you at this weekend? Umpiring? Were you at Northern Illinois, I think?
I was at Northern Illinois. We played Friday, Saturday because of the weather on Sunday.
Gotcha. So you did get some time to watch a little basketball, and the play I'm referring to is Colorado State and Maryland. Colorado State up 1, 3 seconds left. They catch at the top of the key. The Queen kid catches at the top of the key, goes hard, goes off the base or goes off the glass, wins it from Maryland. And I didn't think anything of it as I flipped to the wrong one. Let me go back to Donnie. That was funky. I didn't think anything of it in real time, Don. But then I went to social media and there were people calling it a travel. So I'm going to throw it up now for people to see. I don't know if you can see it as well. But he catches top of the key. And it does maybe look like 3 steps. It maybe looks like 2. That's a side angle because I am not messing with a CBS or anything. I don't know what I own, what I don't own. But you can see it there in slow motion. He catches and 1, 2, maybe 3 before he goes off glass for the winner. We'll come back out to you. As a refereeing expert, what do you think?
Well, I had this discussion with some other officials, and I think that the main point of this whole thing is to determine when does he gather the ball. When does he legitimately gather the ball? Because then that establishes the pivot foot. And honestly, sitting here let's just say in live, I thought it was a legitimate basketball move and not a travel. I think if you had the chance to break this down frame by frame, which the officials don't at the time, unlike out of bounds calls and so forth, to split hairs and call that a travel. And I'm not saying this goes back to what you and I have discussed. You have to officiate for 40 minutes. But if I'm going to have that call at the end of a game, I want to be able to go back with a clear conscience and look at it and go, yep, we got it right. And I think the fact that they established that whenever he determined the pivot foot, that was a legitimate play. And I think passing, if you want to call it that, was the proper call. And I tell you what, if I'm going to miss anything there at the end, and we don't want to miss anything, I'd rather miss a borderline travel versus a foul call there and just miss it and go, what were you refereeing? So I think in terms of what they had and the one time to look at it, I thought it was the right judgment.
Don, at no point while watching the game did I think, or watching the play, did I think, oh, wow, that was a travel. It didn't come to my mind until about 10, 15 minutes later when I got a text message with the play and I looked at it. And I want you to talk about this phrase, if you will, because I'm sitting there watching games with my boys and I show it to Charlie, my oldest, right away. And we slow it down and he says, that's a gathering step first. What do you mean by gathering step? I kind of explain that because that's a term you hear now more often than not. What does it mean, a gathering step before you go 1-2, or kind of explain what that means?
Basically, it's when I've secured the ball together, which means I've ended the dribble. And at that point, you have to establish a pivot foot. It'd be no different than if I came down, did the big hook and jump stopped. Okay. Well, how did I land? Did I land on 2 feet where I can establish a pivot foot? Did I land on 1, which allows me to do other things? So we have to determine when this has cemented. And, you like you said, you broke it down frame by frame to get to that point. If it's that finite, then you probably, like they said, they established the left foot was the legal one, which means he went 1, 2, and up. If you really want to break it down and you think he gathered and stopped his dribble here with the right foot down and you go right, left, right, then you could argue it's a travel. But if you're having to split hairs like that, I don't know if I get that call in the second quarter of the game. If I'm not getting that in the second quarter because it's not obvious it's a travel, why am I getting it in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line?
No, I would agree. It's funny because I talked to you this morning, and last one for you. I talked to you this morning, and I appreciate the fact that you talked to other referees. Talk about that because you guys talk things out a lot, but they all agree with you, do they not? That like it's got to be pretty obvious, and that's splitting hairs when it comes to. It wasn't just you and I might disagree. It sounds like you guys were almost unanimous that it wasn't won in real time.
Yeah, I talked to 4 other individuals, sent them the same play if they hadn't seen it already. And they, like we said, if you want to break it down frame by frame, you might, by the book, have a travel. But if you're 50-50 on it, I'm not grabbing something if I'm 50-50. Then that's that's how it should be as I'm refereeing a game in general. But especially at the end, I want it. If I'm going to get something, I want it to be there. I don't want it to be a phantom call. And I'm not saying this was a phantom call, but this is a judgment on a travel that, again, comes down to when you think he gathered the ball. So there's some judgment involved. And I thought that the fact that the judgment in this case was rhythm, catch, shot was legit. Okay.
Now, Don, before I let you go, you are, I believe, did you get into my bracket or the bracket for the show?
I did not.
I thought you did. I could have swore I saw you on here.
No, you did not. I have chosen, since I have my NCAA position with.
That's right.
With college baseball, to step away from bracketeering, so to speak.
That's right.
But if I had to pick a team in the final, I did think Florida was going to be the winner this year, and they got pushed to the limit over the weekend in a really, really good second-round basketball game. Maybe one of the best of the opening weekend. I thought it was a terrific game. I
do have to give our good friend Jerry Burkhead some love, because he went 16 for 16, Donnie, on Thursday. Perfect bracket. Only I think I saw something on ESPN. It was 0.09% of all the brackets were perfect. Do you know where Jerry sits right now?
Where?
Like 50th place. So it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It all depends what happens. And I will mention that Brian Stocking is in last place, and that makes me very happy. So, Donnie, we appreciate you doing this. WrestleMania season is right around the corner. I was out in public, like I'm not out in public all the time, but I was at getting lunch the other day, and somebody said to me that we like it when Don's on, even when it's wrestling. And I don't even care about it. It's still fun to listen to. So wrestling season and WrestleMania right around the corner. So get prepared. We have a wrestling show coming up real soon.
We're 28 days away from, quote, Easter weekend of wrestling, no less.
Oh, it's going to kill me. It's going to kill me.
It's crazy.
I'm going to get myself in trouble, but priorities. And I think the priority is not Easter, it's WrestleMania. I think that's how everyone will look at it. So, all right, Donnie, we love having you, the ability to check in with somebody who makes a lot of bad calls in his day, and that is Don Umland is one of them. So thanks, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Bye.
All right. Don Umland kind of helping us out with our refereeing needs here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. So, again, thank you to everybody who got in the bracket challenge. Go check it out. Anthony Robertson, I want to say. Now I got this thing up on my computer and I can't stop looking at it. Oh, you probably wonder how I'm doing. I'm like 60th place, something like that. But Alex Robertson is in first place. So congratulations, Alex. Alex has Florida winning. Scotty Moe has Florida winning. Joe Zawada has Alabama. My mom, Eva Randazzo, has Houston. She's in 7th place. Pete Ivanek right behind her. So some familiar names in the bracket challenge. We appreciate that. Well, we mostly appreciate you guys watching a big Monday here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. Again, if you missed the breaking news off the top, and if you missed it, then you're living under a rock. But Iowa does have a new head basketball coach. His name is Ben McCollum. He comes over from Drake. We started the show with Chad Leistikow and Tom Kakert breaking down that hire, which is really, really good. They don't get any better than Tommy and Chad, so we appreciate both of them doing it. If you missed it, go check them out from the beginning of the show. We also had Pat Anger on talking about roller coasters and wrestling and God knows what. So also, Kyle Huesmann, he's getting ready for the Iowa women's basketball game as well. We appreciate him for stopping by and chatting. And then, of course, Don Umland just kind of gave us our officials' point of view when it came to the buzzer beater from Maryland yesterday. Coming up tomorrow's show, there's people probably watching this going, Illinois played this weekend, Iowa State played this weekend. Well, I know that, and if they would have won, we probably would have talked about it more today. Tomorrow, we're going to kind of look at the Illini, working on Ked Prince, maybe Jim Madsen, somebody Illini related. We'll kind of talk because the Booth kid has already gotten into the portal today. Others will probably get in as well. Others will declare for the draft. So we'll look at what Illinois did this past weekend and also look ahead to what they'll look like next year, because they looked completely different this year than last year. So we'll look ahead to Illinois tomorrow. We'll also efforting to kind of track down Jake Brend as well and talk to him about the Iowa State Cyclones. And also, best of luck to the Illinois women and the Iowa women. The Illinois women are about an hour away from starting. The Iowa women about 3 hours away from starting as well. So it's another busy, fun Monday of college basketball here. March Madness, it doesn't get much better than that. So we want to thank everyone for watching today. We'll be back with a brand new episode of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you then.